Good morning, everyone. I'm Kevin Allen, and I'm joined by my podcast partner, former NHL defenseman Tom Laidlaw. And he was up late watching hockey last night, and he gets up at 3:30. So staying up to watch that game is a test for our man.
I was hanging out with a bunch of Navy SEALs this weekend. On Saturday, they had this swim across the Hudson River. They swam from Ellis Island. So they started off, they did 100 push-ups. Now, these are all like 50 Navy SEALs and police officers and firefighters. And so they get these tight little shorts on, nothing else. And they do like 100 push-ups. They march with American flags over their shoulder over to Ellis Island, where they then jump in the water. They swim to a barge. They get up on the barge, do another 100 push-ups, 22 pull-ups, 22 suicides every day for military personnel. So they do 22 pull-ups there. They swim to another barge, do 100 push-ups again, another 22 pull-ups. Then they swim to Lower Manhattan. And then they're marching down Lower Manhattan, and it was quite a scene because all the people are just wandering around, and here's these 50 guys all jacked up with these tight little shorts on and nothing else, carrying the U.S. flag, marching down the streets of Manhattan. Everybody's looking like, what the heck is going on? And then they went to the memorial, 9/11 memorial, and they put some flags there too. So if I can't just operate out on 3 or 4 hours of sleep after seeing that, then there's something wrong with me.
Wow. Well, I like your odds of being able to do all the push-ups and the marching and stuff. I don't know about your swimming ability.
I know. Well, and thank God they didn't. It was only Navy SEALs and police officers and firefighters. So they didn't even give me an option. But I was man, it was the swimming.
Are you a swimmer?
I'm a decent swimmer, but it was funny because these guys they're swimmers, right? That's
their deal. Yeah.
But the current. The first one you can see when they're swimming towards the barge, all of a sudden they're drifting away from it. Like they're swimming in a straight line, but the current's taking them away from the thing. So they had to do a little extra work. But they're funny guys. Like talk about motivational. Like they're they talk about like getting the most out of life, a lot of the True Grit life stuff and everything. And so I was in my heyday dealing with these guys on all day Saturday. So it was a lot of fun. Great guys.
Well, let's talk about something that wasn't very much fun last night for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and that is the loss to the Columbus Blue Jackets. And I'll tell you, Tom, to me, what was most distressing from the Maple Leafs' perspective was, usually what we say is, oh, they're not good enough defensively. But this is one of the most skilled teams, and they just, in 2 games, they couldn't find a way to get a goal.
Yeah.
Talent.
Well, they go and get John Tavares. I'm not putting it all on John Tavares, but he had that one shot where he hit the post, it was wide open net. I mean, you go get a John Tavares because of his leadership and the things he's been through, so he can perform in the clutch when they really need him to. And again, it's one shot. I'm not trying to put it all on John Tavares. There's a lot of reasons they lose, but that kind of is indicative to me of like they've had their chances to do it and they just couldn't do it. But listen, they're still a great hockey team, Toronto. They're young. They need to get things figured out. Again, to me, it's that experience. Like it's a great comeback in Game 4 to come back and win that game in overtime. But they never should have been in that position, right? They should have been able to win that game outright. But so no ways to go for them.
Well, let me throw this out there because I wrote this and it was just one of those hodgepodge columns of 10 truths I learned while watching the first round. And one of the things I brought up is, when I watched that, what I thought to myself is what they need to do is go hard after Pietrangelo if he's available. And I say that because then you trade Nylander because you can't fit everyone under the salary cap, and you get prospects and draft picks and so forth. But I think the team would be better served by having a guy like Pietrangelo who can handle the defensive load, contribute to the offense, than having an extra offensive guy like Nylander.
Yeah. Remember we talked before, though, like the Kyle Dubas is the GM there. I get the feeling that him and Keefe, the coach, they want this type of team. They want a run and gun team. They brought in Muzzin, and thank God he's fine. He came back from the hospital after that scary incident where he got taken off the stretcher, so he was fine. But I hear what you're saying, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I just think with the way they've gone all in at the forward, I mean, they spent so much money on Marner, Matthews, and Tavares, right? So it's like they're all in on this run and gun offensive team. I just think, I think the defense is good enough. They just need to grow up and mature and realize how to play. I hear what you're saying with Pietrangelo, but to me, it's like you got to decide what you want to be as a team. And it looks like they have decided that they want to be this run and gun team. And if they that's not what everybody else seems to win with right now. But if and when they finally win a cup, they're going to say, well, okay, then their logic worked. This is the kind of team they wanted. I just wouldn't. If you're going to go in a certain direction with a team, I just don't want to pivot all of a sudden now and go in another direction. That's my take on it.
Yeah, but are you really going in different directions? It's not like he can't play, an offensive game, and plus you'll be a little bit better on your back end.
Yeah, well, listen, I don't necessarily like what they put together there, but again, I'm just speculating that it looks like to me they decided they want this run and gun team. That's not how St. Louis won. That's not how Boston's been successful. That's not how Washington won. They won by playing that good, strong defensive game. Yes, they have to have people to score goals and everything like that. So I just feel like, to go out and get a John Tavares when they've already got Marner and Matthews and Nylander. It's me again. They've not cleared it with me or anything like that, but I'm just getting the sense that they want the run and gun team. But I'm with you. Listen, I would rather they not build a team that way if I'm a Toronto Maple Leaf fan. But appears that's the direction they've gone in, and I just feel like, remember when Pittsburgh won their last two cups, and in the first one in particular, we kept saying that their defense wasn't good enough. That's what I recall, anyways.
Yeah.
And they won. It's like the rest of the guys decided to play good team defense. They didn't have to have the best defenseman. They just need to have the team play on a better defensive game. I just think that's where the Leafs need to go. They can still be a run and gun team, but they've got to learn how to win. They got to learn how to play that good playoff hockey, which is better defense for everybody. It's not just a defenseman, but everybody playing better defensively.
During that series, Leaf Nation got a little disenchanted with Freddie Anderson. Your thoughts on Anderson?
Yeah, and in fairness to him, like he has played some really good hockey, but it's amazing. Like you could see the Leaf players, like John Tavares missing that, hitting the post there, and Anderson not playing his best. It's like there's so much pressure on these guys in Toronto. Like they're paying attention. Just again, from what I'm viewing, it looks like they're putting pressure on themselves because Leaf Nation wants them to win. Like every game is life and death. Like to me, if you're going to be in Toronto and playing, you've got to have, both ears open, right? It's got to go in one ear and out the other. You got to have a short memory, play great game. That's fine. It's one game. If you have a bad game, you got to have a short memory as well. It's one game. I just think Anderson, like I see how good he can be, but then it looks like he just, like the pressure seems to get to him. He can't seem to perform under that pressure. That's, from a distance, that's what it looks like for me.
And of course, as a result of that, we're going to see a rematch of Columbus and Tampa.
Yeah, I know.
That is just so crazy that it would work out that way.
Yeah. And I'm thinking about it too. If I'm on Tampa, if I'm in the Tampa locker room, I'm saying, okay, your first reaction is that you want to go kill these guys. They embarrassed us last year. We got to go out there. Let's hammer them. Let's go right after them. But man, to me, that's kind of playing into Columbus's hands, right? I think you really got to play a smart game against those guys. You've got to play your game. But I think Tampa's going to have the same issue that Toronto did. It still hasn't been shown to me. I know they've got a great team in Tampa, but still haven't been shown to me that group knows how to win yet, right? Because they haven't won yet. And they haven't getting knocked out in 4 straight last year by Columbus. It just shows me that they haven't learned. It has not shown up yet that they've learned how to play that playoff hockey.
Yeah, I subscribe to that as well. I think there is such a thing as a winning and losing culture, but I have to remind people that you always say that until the team wins.
Yeah, totally. Yep. So they're watching. Yeah.
And it's not like, so I guess my point is that it's not the end of the world if you say that a team hasn't figured it out yet, because they may. Washington. I don't think you ever believed that Ovi was going to get there until he did.
Totally. Yep, absolutely. And now you watch them and you can tell that they know how to win, right? And and actually you're going to kind of laugh at this a little bit, but so Victor Hedman gets hurt, right? Hurt his ankle. I think one of the best things that could happen to him, and I think the world of him, I think he and Shea Weber are the 2 best defensemen in the National Hockey League. But the best thing that happened to him is he does not come back, because then the rest of the team's going to say, okay, we need to pick it up defensively. He's not back there for us. He's a Norris Trophy candidate. There's no question he's our best defenseman, but he's not there, so we need to play better defensively.
Well, I agree with what you say, but I am going to laugh at you because you're never going to be as good a team without Hedman as you are with.
See, I disagree. See, because I just think they're so talented. They're like Washington was. They're so talented. They think they can just go out there and play, do whatever they want to do, and they're gonna win because they are so talented, and they are that talented. But I think when you lose a player like that, now you got to play better defensively. Pittsburgh did it when Letang got hurt and couldn't play in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So
I think Hedman's better than Letang.
no question, he is. There's no doubt about it. But I think the rest of the defensemen on Tampa are better than the rest of the defensemen that Pittsburgh had at that time too. So.
Yeah, like I don't think Tampa Bay's problem is defense. I think it's more of just figuring out how to make it all work. Just having that that gumption and figuring out how to push through when you need that big win. Like Toronto's problem certainly is exasperated by the fact that they're a very poor defensive team. But I don't see Tampa as a poor defensive team.
No, but I've just seen Kucherov, for example. I've seen in big games in the past in playoffs where there's a fantastic player, right? He works so hard at the game, but he's taking bad penalties. He's been lazy sometimes, back checking. It's just those little things that they just. And again, I'm picking on him. That's one guy, but I just see that same thing that Washington had, where it's okay. We are a talented team. We can. You know what? I'll let it slide this time. I'll try, instead of making the smart 10-foot pass, I'm going to try to make this 50-foot pass across the ice. And knowing that they shouldn't do it and it gets picked off, but then they'd say, well, if it does get picked off, we're good enough to stop them anyways. Kind of. So I still think we're that low, but.
I think it's you played, so you kind of know, but I always felt it was kind of subconscious, like, during the big game where a team that's been there knows what to do, isn't nervous about it or less nervous. And right. The team that hasn't been and doesn't know what to do just sort of panics a little bit.
Yes. So you go back to the Islanders when they won all their cups, and we played against them all the time, and we'd have them on the ropes, and we think we were going to beat them, and they would just stick with their game. Like even if we beat them one time in the Garden 7-2, I think it was, and then they came back and won the next night. They know, okay, we've done this before, we've been here before, we know how we do it. We just stick to our game, keep going. You're right. The team that hasn't been there before, they're thinking, well, geez, now we need to change something. We're losing here. We need to change what we're doing instead of having that proven method that they've used over and over. So I agree with you totally.
Well, now that we're here, let's start talking about the matchups. Who are you taking in this, Columbus and Tampa?
Here I am saying these kind of negative things about Tampa, but I do think Tampa's going to win. I think the lesson they learned from last year is going to help. They've got hopefully they've learned a lesson, and so Tampa will win. Well,
yeah, I'm a little worried about them not having Hedman, or we don't know what Stamkos's status is either. But saying that, I really think Tampa had to have learned a lot.
Yep.
By what they've gone through, and I love their goaltending.
Yep.
And I unlike some of the teams who bow out because they can't play defense, I think Tampa can play defense. That offense is their thing, but so if we believe what you're saying, that they're gonna everybody's gonna get on the oars because the Hedman is out. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to go with Tampa as well. Like Columbus, I'm so impressed with that team, though. Like how hard, they work to get things done, and John Tortorella just won't let them not get their best.
Right. There's his old team too, right? The Tampa Bay Lightning.
I could see him being in the True Grit lifestyle. Oh. I could see him getting up at 3:30 and making his bed, bouncing the quarter off of it, and demanding. That let's go out and get it done today.
Yeah, I agree. He definitely could. Yeah, yelling. He'd probably be yelling at the bed too if it wasn't perfectly correct, right? If he couldn't get it done perfectly.
Oh yeah, and in fact, I think he'd push you harder than you push yourself, which is amazing.
No chance.
Yeah,
Herb Brooks started that 40 years ago or whatever. So
yeah, I think he could. I think Tortorella though would could push your buttons.
All right, we need to get him on the show someday. Then the three of us on the show.
See if he could push your buttons a little bit.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right.
He's going in that battle. How about
you know him at all, Tom?
You know what? Said hello to him. When he coached the Rangers, we had a alumni meeting, and he came and spoke at it. Was a real gentleman. I'll never forget. Pat Hickey's a great guy and everything. Been an old player with the New York Rangers. But Pat, when he goes to ask a question, it'll go on forever. He makes a statement when he asks a question, and it'll go on for a period of time. So he was asking John Tortorella. We're all in this room together, and everybody's trying to be respectful and everything. And Pat Hickey got up and started asking this question, but it went on and on and on. Finally, you could tell the guys are leaning back in their chairs and everything. Finally, I couldn't help it. I had to step up and say, Pat, is there a question here or what? Are you going to get the question? And Tortorella was you could tell he was like, oh, thank God. He was pretty funny. He was good with it.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. All right, let's stick on the East and
Philadelphia and Montreal.
I think that's no contest. I think every I think Price and the Canadiens had their shot and they got rid of the Penguins, but boy, Philadelphia's playing good hockey right now.
And what's interesting, Carter Hart gets compared all the time to Carey Price, right? The two same style of goaltenders, right? Really calm, cool, relaxed. I'm with you. I can't see how Montreal gets it done. But one of the things, I'm a huge Shea Weber fan, like I said before, but he's been hurt so much the last few years. But he played fantastic, as a leader and as a player on the ice. Fantastic hockey for Montreal. So you know what? If you're going Philly, then I'm going to go out on the limb and I'm going to take Montreal.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that they can do that, especially over 7 games and 4 wins. I don't know. I will say this though, and I've kind of written this. Everyone's going to say that it was the Penguins losing to Carey Price, but it was a lot more than Carey Price.
Very true.
Yes. Weber was so noticeable. Petrie might have played, at least offensively, the best I've ever seen him play on defense. Byron stepped up. There was a lot of big plays by people, but this Philadelphia team has been very impressive.
Yeah, I know. They really there's 3 teams for me that really surprised me how good they played. Philly, the Islanders, and the Canes. So the 3 teams for me that really surprised me how good they are. And I should have known how good they were, but man, they're not just. It wasn't luck. It wasn't just good team structure. They've got talented players there.
Yeah. All right. Next series:
Washington Capitals and the New York Islanders.
Boy, I've been real impressed by the Islanders as well. And I just feel doesn't it feel like Washington seems a little stale? I'm not sure why, but they just don't seem to have the same zest. Where the Islanders, they seem to be on an upward trend in terms of the belief in themselves.
Well, what I liked about the Islanders was Florida really wasn't doing a whole lot in the series. Bobrovsky, I thought, actually played pretty well for Florida. It wasn't his issue that they lost. But really the only thing that was going, I thought was outstanding for Florida was the power play. And it was a couple of times in the series where the Islanders would give them a Florida power play. Florida would score right away, and you think, okay, Florida's going to get back in the game right away. But the Islanders had that way of saying, no, that's not going to happen here. We're going to, we let them back in with a goal, but now we're taking this game over again. They really were aware of understanding the flow of the game and what they had to do to win and shut down the Florida players. Florida had some really good offense, but they couldn't get it going against the Islanders. So I'm going to go with the Islanders.
Yeah, in most cases, I don't like scoring by committee. I think you use that when you don't have any scoring. You say we're scoring by committee, and I think it's sort of a motivational tool to get everybody pushing on the oar. But in the Islanders' case, I think there's actually truth to that. I don't think that they say that because they don't have any scoring. I think that's part of their makeup is they feel like they need to get goals up and down the lineup, and there's no passengers. Nobody on the fourth line is allowed to say, well, when I get a goal, it's bonus.
Yeah.
I do other things.
Interesting, right? John Tavares leaves the Islanders to go to Toronto, has a chance to score for Toronto in Game 5 to help them win, and doesn't do it. And now the team he was on that he left is now going on to the first round of the playoffs. So, I'm taking the Islanders in this. I think they're they've got it going, and I think they get enough goals. And we all know how well they play defensively, and their goaltending is very dependable. Mark is good. Yeah, they're really good. Yeah, I agree. Then we got Boston and the Canes, the Hurricanes.
Yeah, I don't like what I've seen from Boston. They were the most consistent team in the league all season, and they don't look anything like the Bruins that I'm used to watching. Now, can they sort of click their heels and suddenly become the Bruins again? Because guess what? The Canes look real good. Really good.
I think the only thing that's going to hurt the Canes is they got rid of the Rangers too quickly, right? They've had these days off now, so that they'd rather probably keep playing. Whereas Boston, I'm with you. I thought Boston played better yesterday, but man, that really surprised me because you know how highly I think of them and how, particularly the leadership there with Patrice Bergeron and Chara, but and both those guys too. Like Bergeron didn't look like. I mean, you could tell he was trying a little bit more, and I love the guy as a player, but it just wasn't there. And you could tell he was trying to get it going yesterday. It wasn't there. But you know what? So you're taking the Canes?
Yeah.
I'll go Boston.
Well, I don't blame you, but when you listen even to Cassidy, it sounds like he's alarmed a little bit.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that they just don't seem to have it, and it hasn't come together. And they're one of the few teams where I think the layoff really has impacted them. That they just haven't been able to kind of come together as quickly. And it's there because we saw it all season.
Oh, totally, yeah. And remember when we going into and we're going to get started again, we're trying to figure out, okay, who's going to have the advantage? Like I thought it was going to be more the skilled teams. But these offensive teams, like talk about the Islanders and Columbus and the Canes, man.
Yeah.
They're good defensively, and they had it right away. It wasn't.
But not the Bruins. The Bruins haven't.
Yeah, totally. I agree. I don't know. Like I said, it's really like when I see Patrice Bergeron and Chara be two of the guys that are not on top of their game, that's kind of disturbing to me. That's the part that I'm kind of concerned about.
Yeah.
But you know what, though? I guess why I'm going for them is I'm thinking these are proud guys that have known how to win, and they're looking there now and say, guys, this isn't good enough. We got to crank it up. That's why I think it is tough to now flip the switch and all of a sudden start playing your best hockey. But I think with those guys, because they've done it before and they're such proud players, that's why I think Boston's going to get playing.
Well, and they played, what was it? So it's August, that's 8. They played in May of 2019 in the conference final. So 15 months ago, they had a big meeting. And I got to believe the Hurricanes, who were a younger group, kind of went to school in that series. And I'm sure they learned a lot.
Right.
I'm sure Rod Brendamore learned a lot.
Right. And remember, Dougie Hamilton, as Pesci played for the Canes? I mean, they played fantastic against the Rangers. It didn't look like they missed anybody, but those, Hamilton's a good defenseman. So.
Yeah,
I agree. Okay, so you're going with the Canes there, and I'm going with Boston?
Yes.
Okay. Over in the West now, we've got the Vegas Golden Knights against Chicago.
Yeah, I love what Taves did in the last round, and of course Patrick Kane is Patrick Kane, and Crawford. These guys have been around the block, but it's the same thing I felt about Montreal. They don't have two. My dogs are going wild here.
They're excited for the playoff. They're excited for the draft.
As soon as I get on a podcast, like they start wrestling right by me, like they know I can't do anything.
Well, it's playoff time too, though.
They're fired up. But I feel the same way I did about the whole Montreal-Pittsburgh thing. Right. Like Chicago, it was all they could do to knock down a very dynamic Edmonton Oilers offense. But can they do it against a more polished team? Like the Edmonton Oilers, we know they're a two-man band, and the Golden Knights have so many weapons.
Well, they're missing Pacioretty. Do we know what's wrong with Pacioretty?
No, I don't. But he, I don't know that the Tampa Bay Lightning can get past Hedman too easily, but I think the Golden Knights can overcome the loss of Pacioretty because they have a bunch of scorers and like that. I thought that was an impressive win over Colorado. Colorado's a good team.
Oh, really good. I love them. Oof.
Yeah. So I thought, that they've showed me something, and to be honest with you, Vegas was really good down the stretch too. Yep. I think they were 11-2 in their last 13 games, and you could see that they were kind of coming together. And Robin Lehner, I think they actually have a little bit of a goaltending dilemma there because Lehner's playing better, and Fleury, of course, is Fleury. So he's the most popular player in their limited time in the NHL. But I think Leonard's probably playing better. And I think if you're going on the basis of who's playing the best, you're probably going to have to play Leonard.
Yeah, well, Steve Valiquette does the play-by-play or does some analysis here for the New York Rangers. He's really former goaltender, is really big into the statistics. And I heard him on the radio the other day talking about how Leonard clearly is the number one guy based on the numbers. But that's think about that. You put all the things that Fleury has done there.
Oh, I know.
Guys, right? And then you put Leonard in. But Fleury has always seemed to be the kind of guy that he's a great team guy. And although he would not like it, he's going to be a professional enough to just to roll with it. And if Leonard doesn't play well, he'll go back in. But that's the problem with me with Fleury in the past has been that he just seems to lose it sometimes. It hasn't seemed to be that strong mentally. But yeah, Leonard.
And now he's reaching the age now. I mean, like he's not 100 years old, but he's reaching the age where you don't know, is he just having a moment, a blip, or is this the start of the beginning of the end?
I agree. So you're going to go with Vegas?
Oh, yes.
Well, see, I think, man, I'm going to go with Duncan Keith. I tell you, like, somebody turned the clock back for him too. Like that layoff for him, he was fantastic. I thought in that series. I think Taves the same thing. He got better. Who scored all the goals for him that one game? There were the 5 points. The young kid, the rookie.
Yeah, the rookie. Yeah. Now you got me drawing a blank on him.
Yeah,
he was terrific all year. So
yeah, I tell you, I'm going to go with Chicago then. Not just because you're going with Vegas, but I like.
You're picking with your heart, but I like that. So
okay, all right, good. Colorado and Arizona.
Yeah, I love Rick Tocchet job he's done there. He's turned them into a defensive team. They don't have enough scoring. I want to believe in Arizona, but Colorado is just too much.
I'm with you. I got to give Arizona credit for what they did against Nashville, but Nashville is not Colorado. Colorado is a whole different animal. Like I know Connor McDavid's a fantastic player, but I tell you, when I see Nathan McKinnon play, man, he's a beast out there too. He's fast, he's strong. You can tell he's determined. I just don't see like I'm maybe kind of changing my mind. I was picking St. Louis and Boston to be in the finals again, but I get to tell you, Colorado's playing fantastic. So I think it's going to be 4 straight in Colorado over Arizona.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be 4 straight, but it's possible certainly because they sure are playing well. And
like Arizona against Nashville, I think they, especially early in the game, they just sat back and let Nashville come at them. And I just think Nashville wasn't, they're just that whole team needs a real makeover. I think there's something missing there a lot, but yeah,
there's a lot missing there.
Yes, actually, speaking of that. I hate to say this because we both like this guy a lot, but I'm hearing talks that David Poile may be in trouble there or moved up and have somebody else come in as GM.
I don't know. I'd be shocked at that, to be honest with you. Just because I think, the relationship and maybe that's, but I don't know. It just seems like to me that they would allow him to go out on his own as long as he could give them a date.
Yeah, I think the world of him. He's just a real gentleman. I think he's a smart hockey man, but there's something missing there in that team. It's like they got all the talent is there. I mean, listen, they're as talented as Tampa in some of these teams in my mind. It's just they don't have. There's something missing in the locker room. There's something. The culture there is way off. But
yeah.
All right, we got Dallas and Calgary.
Boy, that feels like a coin flip to me. I think Dallas hasn't played as well as I want him to play, and now with Sagan hurt, Bishop hurt, it looks like.
Yeah.
And Calgary, got the job done.
Yep.
In their series.
And I didn't think Jamie Benn's been playing that well either. Like he seems like
I don't think he's played well in the last couple of 3 years.
Yeah.
But I don't know. If Bishop comes back, I'm taking Dallas.
Are you taking Dallas?
If I knew Bishop was going to play, I'd take Dallas.
Okay. All right. So you're going to hedge your bets then. You're not going to go on a limb here.
Well, no. I'll take Dallas.
Okay. Then I've got to go with Calgary then.
Calgary, yeah. I mean, I don't like Calgary's goaltending, and but I don't love Dallas either. But I think it's a coin flip.
Yeah. Okay. I'll take Calgary then. All right. This is going to be a good series here. St. Louis and Vancouver.
Yeah, I tell you what, Vancouver, I just wrote that. I don't know if this is their year, but I think starting next year, 2020-21, we start listing them as legitimate Stanley Cup contenders.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because this team is good, and their young players, especially Quinn Hughes is their best player, first of all.
Yep.
And then they got Brock Besser and Pedersen.
And Pedersen played with an edge, too. That really surprised me. I thought he was soft.
For sure. Bo Horvat. This is a good young team.
Yep. They got Myers back there in defense. I like him as a defenseman, big, rangy guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And, Edler's 150 years old, but he's still effective.
Yeah.
And, they've got they got to re-sign Markstrom, though. So that's a key thing for them.
But that's a big incentive for him, right? He's going to want to continue to play well. So who are we taking then? I mean, the defending Stanley Cup champs, St. Louis? I'm going to go Vancouver. I think they're going to do it.
Yeah, I'm going to take St. Louis. I mean,
we got a challenge here.
Yeah,
good series. I'm looking forward to watching those.
Yeah, I certainly believe Vancouver has a shot to knock them off.
Yeah, totally. I agree. Totally. Yeah. Yes. Good. I like it. So, and then Wednesday, we've got to go back. We got to research, go back over our
figure out how we did in that first round. Although I'm sure our listeners know how we did. Yeah. Everybody keeps track of those.
Yeah.
I've been writing some stuff for a betting website and doing some stuff, and you got to make predictions. And all I could think about is this quote that I remember I got. It must have been 35 years ago, because people would say, how could you make that pick and all that? And it was from the head of the Las Vegas Gaming Commission, who said, we make back then it was like, I don't know, $3.4 billion off people who truly believe they can accurately forecast what's going to happen in a sporting event. Yeah. So the only difference between a sports writer and a normal fan is a sports writer understands that he really doesn't know what's going to happen in the game.
Well, real quick, I know we got to run here. We're getting past it. There's been a few people suggesting that we should, every year now, they should have these play-in rounds like they had this year. That it was really exciting hockey. What do you think?
I'm for sure for that. I think one of the truths that I said that I learned during this is that we are past time, especially now with Seattle going to be our 32nd team, to expand the playoffs. And it doesn't have to be 24 teams. That's probably too many. But we can certainly go a challenge 9 and 10 versus 7 and 8. We could either do one game, which is really exciting. We see how it works in baseball, and absolutely everybody loves that. Or we can go 2 out of 3.
Yeah, I like the 2 out of 3 idea. That you've done that whole season. I guess there's going to be all the business questions, like you got to make sure the revenues are still the same and all those things. The owners and the players both share in the revenue, so that's all got to be worked out. But I guess they just play the same. Realize you could roughly play the same.
I think the increased revenue out of those games, like if you look at baseball, those are some of the most watched games going, especially in single elimination. Yeah. And you can pretty much charge whatever you want to get in those games.
That's true.
And then you basically, what I would do is I'd sell them to another network, like TNT, and that's the only games they get.
That's a pretty cool idea. I like that. Wow.
Yeah. And then they come in, they do those games, so it's kind of a unique presentation, and everybody watches that, and they pick different analysts, so we have some crazy people choices to see.
True. That would be pretty exciting. That'd be good. Yeah.
I mean, maybe they'd hire Charles Barkley to come in and analyze the game. So anyway, I'm in favor of expanding the playoffs, and I got to believe, Gary Bettman has not been in favor of those sort of rat tail games, but I'll bet now that he's seen this, and especially adding the 32nd team.
Yeah.
Now half the teams miss the playoff.
Yeah, sure, that's true. Back when I played, there was only 21 teams in the league.
Well, the joke used to be, if you don't remember, anybody with a valid driver's license got in the NHL. We used to say that. Because only 5 teams miss. Well, now half the league is home golfing when we start.
I know. It's incredible to think about that the league, you keep thinking to yourself, okay, they expand to a certain point, they go, well, you can't have it anymore. But I mean, it can keep on going, right? There's lots of good sites and good owners.
Here, people say, well, they got more teams in the NFL, but here's the difference. See, we're a gate revenue driven league. We are not a TV driven league. So an NFL doesn't need to add more teams because they get millions watching on television, and that's their revenue.
Right.
But we're gate revenue league. So to get more revenue, we got to get more teams.
Yep.
And as long as they're selling within the city, we obviously still have some issues. Florida, we're not settled in Arizona, but I think there's a feeling, at least I've always had this feeling, if they ever got a competitive team in Arizona, and if they can solve the arena issue, I think it could work. Because
remember when they first started, they were playing downtown, and they were fantastic there. They had good teams.
It was good. I think that's all they need. They need to be able to get to the games. There's enough transplants there, and I think they need the team to be good.
Yeah, totally. And the same thing for Florida when they went to the finals against Colorado, right? And
but that's different. Like they're not even close to being in the same area now.
Well, yeah, they moved them. So same situation. Arizona and Florida both had arenas downtown.
Yeah, but I think it feels like a different situation down in Florida to me than in Arizona. So, so they're just sort of like that creation of a fan base and stuff that they had in, 95 is completely different than now when they've, kind of moved up and to Sunrise and so forth. So I think that's a different situation than in Arizona.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've gone way overboard today, but I think it was worth it. And we appreciate you listening and hope you'll join us on Wednesday.
See you Wednesday, guys.